Good morning, everybody. This is Morten from Inkish. I have a really great honor today to talk to maybe a future young talent in our industry, at least a talent that has already won the Intergraf Young Talent Award. So welcome on Inkish, Sarah.
Thank you, Morten, and the honor is mine. Thank you for inviting me to this interview.
I, uh, I every time I have an opportunity to talk to young people about our industry, I grab it if possible because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding of how the printing industry is, and therefore also, and I think that goes for many industries, and therefore sometimes it becomes very difficult for many of, let's say, the older industries to attract young talent. And when I saw that you won the Intergraph Young Talents Award, I of course immediately downloaded your contribution, and I reached out to you to get to know you better, but also to get a little bit better understanding of your views on that being young in our industry. Let's start with you as a person. You are obviously a young woman. You are from Germany. And then you have something that is a little bit special, which I said to you before, is that you have a career in mini golf. And I never thought that mini golf would be an inspiration for the printing industry. Tell me a little bit how you got to where you are today.
Well, yes, you're absolutely right. I am a world champion, European champion, and German champion in mini golf. And well, it took me quite a long time to get there. I started playing when I was 6 years old. It was, well, kind of a family thing because my grandpa already founded the club with some friends where, like, in the city where I grew up. And then my dad also started playing. He became European champion with the German team as well. And well, he passed it on to me and trained me. And well, in the beginning, I was really bad, like you probably always are when you start something new. But then I kept on training, and well, with the discipline and persistence,
And
I
hard work.
became better. It
And hard work,
worked,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I,
hard
I,
work.
yeah, I guess that achieving a position, being the best, is not something that you can just go to bed Monday evening and then wake up to Tuesday morning and then you're the world champion. That takes a little bit in between, right?
It does, and it's also interesting because when you look at mini golf, it actually has this ability that you don't have to necessarily train every single day. So if I compare it, for example, with gymnastics or some sport that you are very that is very demanding physically, you have to have more persistence in the training throughout the week. For me, with mini golf, it was more about mental training. So I have been a lot working on that. And then, of course, also playing competitions and, well, counting it all together, even though I don't have like a regular training, like day for day or like a weekly training, I counted together like last year I played between 3 and 4 months only mini golf in the
Mm,
whole year.
mm, fantastic. That mindset, I guess, if you had chosen to play tennis or wanted to be a violinist or something, is something inside you, right? That is your ability to focus and focus on driving your, of course, with your interest, but driving yourself into that direction, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I realized I'm a very reflected person, I have to say. I think a lot, and I have been also reflecting on how I became, well, world champion, European champion. And I realized that there is actually some kind of methodology behind it. We talked about it before that every business kind of has some basic methodology, strategic, that needs to be applied. And I think the same is about success. You need to have a goal, and then you need to have the strategy to reach that goal. And then it's just really about discipline and, well, repeating, even though if you don't want to, because there's always days when you don't want to do your training where you don't feel like it. But that is exactly when it counts, and that is where the mentality and the mindset is a key to actually be successful.
I can't help think about, was there a time when you was young where your friends said, no, we don't want to play mini golf with you anymore?
Yes,
Yeah. They
I
were just
did.
annoyed
I
about
did.
it, right?
I did. And you were talking before about if I had done maybe tennis or something else. I have done a lot of different kind of sports. I also did Olympic wrestling. I was pretty good at that time, but it was also a bit more difficult for me to get like into higher levels because I would have to drive further for, well, like higher trainings. And there was not the possibility for me at that time where I was to grow that much more.
Mm,
And I did also other things like dancing and gymnastics, but I somehow well stuck to mini golf. And
mm,
the cool thing was that I think, what, well, to your question, why I was at some point, oh, I don't want to play mini golf anymore, because the competitions, they were mainly on weekends.
mm,
And that was also later on, when I was 16, 17. Lots of friends of mine, they started to have birthday parties, like big ones that were celebrated. And often I was there and was saying, sorry, can't come, I'm going to play mini golf. And it was frustrating. But this is also the thing, what I was mentioning before. If you have set yourself a goal and you want to achieve it, you have to stick with that plan. And you
mm,
can't just go another way, like, or get distracted by other things.
mm. When you think of we of course also talking about your thesis, but I was just thinking that at some point when you were like, of course, with your sports career, but at some point also after, I mean, at high school, and sometimes you decided to go to university and take the bachelor that you finished just recently, right? I mean, what kind of considerations? Because I mean, if you look to me like a very determined person that want to. I mean, if you, as you say, you set a goal in mini golf, but now you want to be in business and you have your own business. It seems like a new objective, a new goal. And was that already part of when you decided your educational track that, okay, this is just the training course for getting to that objective, or how did you choose your professional career?
Well, inside of me, I kind of always had this desire to have my own business
Mm,
since I was a small kid, actually. And when I graduated from school, for me, my mindset was, okay, I have to study in order to have a good educational foundation.
mm,
And well, my family, they're very much work driven and focused, so none of them went to university, none of my close family. And I didn't really have some kind of real guidance from there, because they couldn't tell me how it's done because they didn't do it, right?
mm,
And so it actually took me quite a while after my studies to figure out what I want to study and how I get in there. And the way I made up my mind was, I decided to walk the Camino de Santiago in Spain. It's a
mm.
pilgrimage way. So I took a backpack and I walked 800 kilometers. It took me like 29 days.
You walked
And
800 kilometers.
what did you say?
You walked 800 kilometers.
Yep, in one go. Well, I had like breaks in between,
Of
obviously,
course.
but it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like average, it was like a little more than 28K a day
Mm,
that I walked.
mm,
And it was an amazing experience because there I also got to meet people from all over the world. I got to hear a lot of different perspectives from those people. Many of them actually quit their job to go on this journey to fulfill their dreams.
mhm,
So, and the objective actually for me was to find out what I wanted to study. I didn't find out what I wanted to study when I arrived in Santiago, but what I knew was, okay, I somehow want to create emotion in people. And I really want to do what I think is fun, and I want to have this international community. And that was the main part that I really wanted in my future career to be part of. And so I came back to Germany and I had some consulting, and that woman that consulted me suggested, hey, there's the media university in Stuttgart, you could go there. They have like a open door day where you can just talk to students. And there I walked around, and honestly all of the study courses, they seemed the same to me. And then I found one course, the print media technology course, that was international. So I talked to one guy from Taiwan and one from Egypt, and we had such an inspiring conversation. And then they were telling about the print course and what they were doing, that they actually got to do a lot of projects. And when you think about a package, when you think about a book, it always tells a story, it always has some kind of emotion that is transmitted. And that really fascinated me. And also the talk that our dean, Professor Janssen, gave about what the print industry actually is. It's not only books and magazines, what I thought back at that time. It's about
A
so
lot of people
much
think
more.
like that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think when you actually look at the industry, you can see, okay, there's very traditional thinking. But on the other hand, you also have the innovation, because you can see when you think about today, in my essay, I also wrote down, think about a world without print. It's like so many things
It's
wouldn't work.
it's
Like,
like
even
it's
like,
like it's like food without taste, right?
yeah, kind of.
Mm.
That's actually, yeah. And even when you think about electronics, even there you have printed electronics in there
Mhm.
in some ways, sometimes, right? So I think there is not enough awareness of what print actually is
Mm.
and where print is in our world.
Mm. Sarah, I think everything you say emphasizes the focus you have, and I am actually deeply happy that I get to know you a little bit here, and I hope that at some point we may even meet each other in person. At some point, you saw there was this competition from Intergraf about Young Talents Award, and you decided to participate. Did you decide to be the winner from the beginning?
Well, so when I look back on that journey, I I saw the topic and I was like, wow, that is my topic. That's what I can talk about. So I was really like, yes, I'm very enthusiastic about it. I was thinking a lot about it. And also because my business that I have started last year is connected to team building. So, and I think one of the most important ways to attract young talent and younger generations is really having a strong company culture,
Mhm.
and team building is part of that, right? To strengthen
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
company culture and the, well, working together. Because I think now we have a time, there's so much change happening all the time, and there's so much more change going to happen, which we can't really probably imagine yet.
Mhm.
And we need to be flexible in that kind of way, and need to have a strong team that sticks together in order to overcome these challenges and also shape these challenges and shape the future.
Mhm.
And that was kind of the reason why I thought, okay, yes, this is my topic. I actually
Mhm.
would have a chance to win. But then
Mhm.
when it came to the execution part, because I was writing my thesis at the time, I set myself 2 days to completely focus on this Intergraph Talent Award. And it was 2 days before the deadline. So
As
that might not
always,
have
right?
really, but while I was in the process, I was like, Sarah, you could have won this award. You should have started earlier. But well,
Yeah.
it was also about the prioritizing, right, with the
Of
thesis
course.
and making. So when I saw the email that congratulations, you have won the Young Talent Award, I was like, wow, I was actually over the clouds. I feel very honored that I get this opportunity to speak now in June 13th at Print Matters in Zurich,
Yeah.
and connect also to more people from the industry, because what you said in the beginning, that you always reach out to young people to get their insights and to understand how they think about the industry. I think this is one of the most important, to actually get into connection and
Mm.
talk to each other. And
I I can tell you. Sorry for interrupting. I have birthday in 2 weeks, and I turned 57. My filmers on my crew are in their early 30s, and it's kind of funny because one of the filmers once said to me, he was complaining a little bit about his mother, and he said, "Oh, she's so old." And I said, "Okay, so exactly how old is she?" And she was of course the same age as me, right? It led to a little bit funny exchange because if you look at your mom and your dad, for example, they probably in the same age as me, maybe older, maybe a little bit younger, but you see them as older because it's your parents. But if you work with people that are older or younger, you see the achievements and how you can collaborate. So I think that sometimes it's a matter of finding how you can get into those relationships and actually take advantage of learning from what is new and fresh and sometimes naive in a positive way to the
yeah,
experience, maybe the old grumpy men like me, and combine those things to something that can be even more beautiful. So that was also when I read about the corporate culture that you're talking about in your assignment. I was just like, yeah, that is absolutely one of the important things in the future as well. I don't have the exact same. I think you were a little negative on the industry, but of course I have visited several hundred printing companies, so my basis is maybe a little bit wider than yours, right? But I guess you're right because I can tell you. I'm sorry that now it's not about me, but I just want to give you a little bit background to it because one of the things that annoys me is that when you come into a company, whether it's a printing company or anything else, and then there's no receptionist anymore. There is a phone, so you can dial the person that you want to talk to. It's like, but I'm your customer. I would like to meet a person that can greet me welcome and take me to the right person, give me a cup of coffee. I have to wait and things like that. So that is also part of these cultural changes. That is because I think that in all industries today, we are under tremendous financial pressure because capitalism has made that everything needs to be as cheap as possible within the standard that you have decided it to be with, right? So is that something that you, when you look at your school and when you look at where you did your internship you just spoke about before, is that something that you see that there sometimes is a reason for and I'm not using that as an excuse, but do you see those things as well?
you mean the financial pressure now?
The financial pressure, the staffing, one thing is it's impossible to get young people, but it's impossible to get people at all. So, of course, if you
Mm.
have to choose, should you have a receptionist or should you use a person instead in an office function, for example, right? Then, of course, you would choose to have an office function, right? Or depends on
Mm.
what type of company, of course, right? But I'm just saying that so there's a lot of, let's say, things in the societies that defines the corporate culture that is beyond control because we can't get the right people today, right?
Yeah. Well, I think I have been thinking a lot about that, getting the right people. Because I think now, as the world is changing so much, I think the systems, they need to adapt as well.
Mm.
And there is the question, who are the right people? So
That's good.
this is one part. When you look at the industry, I think there's also a difference. I think, big companies that are very established, I think, have less problems of attracting young talents because they have a lot to offer. For example, when I look at my generation now, in our course, we were very entrepreneurial, I think, actually, because there were a lot of people that had a lot of drive, had a lot of ideas, and in these bigger companies, you have the resources to actually implement this. And you have
I,
also, for example, like global companies, abilities to actually go into different countries, right? I think
yeah,
it's more challenging for smaller, often family-owned businesses.
I agree, 100%. And fortunately, there is also really large companies in the printing industry that, of course, offer international careers and a lot of these exciting things that you're talking about. Sarah, I know that we are running a little bit late because you have a train to catch. Last thing, going to meet the industry in Switzerland. Just very briefly, how excited are you about that?
Oh, I'm super excited.
Hmm. It must be fantastic to get that recognition, and I would like to tell you that I'm very honored that you have been here on English, telling a little bit about your background. I think it's I think that you are exactly what this industry needs, and I think that even though that you decided that your own business is maybe not directly in the industry, I hope then at least you will buy a lot of print in the future, right?
Well, I mean, there's also consulting needed in the print industry, so I think there will be cooperations on both sides.
I'm sure that people can would like to use you as a consultant. So Sarah, all the best. Have a safe train ride, and I hope to meet you again at some point. And thank you very much for being here on Enki. So all the best.
Thank you very much, Morten.